while your day is winding down. They're just getting started. This is South Coast Tonight with Chris McCarthy and Marcus Farrow. They've got you covered on all the news of the day, from local issues to politics on both sides of the aisle. This is the place where the movers and shakers come to be heard, to listen, and where they're held accountable. This is South Coast Tonight on WBSM.
Welcome. Welcome to South Coast Tonight. I'm Marcus. 508-996-0500 is how you can get on the program this evening. We're also taking your messages on the WBSM app chat. Tonight we've got a good show for you. I've got open phone lines for most of the program, but at 8 o'clock, and Chris will be back tomorrow, by the way, for people that might, Chris will be back tomorrow. So we've got a good show for you. At 8 o'clock, a candidate will make an announcement. A Ward 3 resident in New Bedford will make an announcement that they're running or maybe thinking about running for the seat that is going to be vacated by Ward 3 City Councilor Hugh Dunn. That's at 8 o'clock. So if you're not familiar with the story, basically a few weeks ago, November 4th it was, the Friday before the statewide elections, Hugh Dunn came on with Chris and me here on South Coast Tonight and announced he'd be resigning. The reasons he cited were he's got expanding responsibilities at a personal injury firm in Boston, and his job has high demands for commuting and all of that, and he's relocating to Boston to focus on that practice, the personal injury practice in Boston. So he, a few days later, sent a letter into Dennis Farias, the clerk, and the city clerk, and he said that his resignation would be effective on midnight at on December 3rd. So that's going to trigger a special election. Now, if you'll remember, I had Mayor Mitchell on last week, and I was talking to Mayor Mitchell, and I said, we're just kind of casually talking about the Ward 3 election off air, and he had mentioned that he had saw the dates that were selected, and one of them being January 24th and February 28th for a preliminary and special election. Now, keep in mind, Councilor Dunn's leaving on December 3rd. It's an incredibly quick turnaround for an election. It might even be quicker because Hugh Dunn got elected the same way. So it might even be a quicker turnaround than Hughes, if I remember correctly. It might even be a quicker turnaround. So you're going to need someone who knows. There's got to be someone who knows what they're doing in order to campaign successfully for that seat to get the name ID that they need, unless they have some built-in name ID already. So that election's happening. Actually, tomorrow is when the city council is going to order that special election. And after they do, they're going to pick those two dates. They have no reason not to. And I asked Ian when he was on, City Council President Ian Abreu, when he was on, if those are the dates that they're going to pick. He said those are the dates. Basically, there's no reason to not select those dates. So it's going to be January 24th for a preliminary election. That means when there's 6 people. I mean, not 6 people. There were 6 people last time. That means when there are more than I think there's going to be 6 people is what I meant to say. I think there's going to be like 6 or 7 people. But basically that means when there's more than 2 people, the field winnows down. They winnow the field down to 2 people. And then there's a general election. Last time, honestly, it was the preliminary was such a blowout that they shouldn't have even bothered. But they did. So there are a few candidates that I know have expressed some intention to run, and I've spoken with them. You can find like at least one of theirs, one of those potential candidates. My latest one of my columns last week on WBSM.com, the one that has the dates for the special election, a lot of the details. So that's going to be at 8 o'clock. In the interim, open phone lines, 508-996-0500 is how you can get on the program. Just want to recap what over the weekend, there were 2 turkey drives that I know of. There could have been more, but these are the 2 that I knew of. There were 2 turkey drives in New Bedford. One of them, actually on Friday, you heard Ian Abreu come on to promote, and that one was at the Kilburn Mill. He said they sold out very, very quickly. They sold out of those, not sold out because they gave them away, but they ran out of those turkeys very, very quickly. And same thing in Ward 3. I know City Councilor Hugh Dunn was there. In Ward 3, there was Chief Oliveira was there. And there was a Joey, a Warwick, Rhode Island resident, New Bedford native, who had given out over 250 turkeys, I think, over the weekend between Rhode Island and New Bedford. But it was a lot of turkeys and coats that they had given out. So it was, I mean, you know, I'm of 2 minds of that. Like, it's obviously heartening that people are willing to give that much of their time and their resources out to those who may need it more. But it's also, I think, in a lot of ways, a sign of the times that there's so many people that are in need of a turkey dinner or a turkey or a coat, that they're able to basically sell out of everything they have. So, but, you know, I hope you got your turkey. Thanksgiving is this Thursday. Can't believe it crept up on us like that. So just a couple production notes, too. I will not be here Thursday. Neither will Chris. And I don't think anybody's going to be here on Friday, which would include Chris and me. So Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday is what you get from WBSM this week. And also Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday next week is going to be Chris and I's schedule, because Thursday the Pats are playing the Bills, which is the biggest game of the year. And, of course, we're the number 1 home for the Bills for South Coast and over the air. So they'll be playing the Bills game. So Chris and I will have the night off. Friday, Chris and I are going to a social engagement. Jack Spillane will be filling in. So you heard Jack Spillane on Friday, this past Friday, which I thought was a really good segment. We covered a lot of ground. He's going to be in next Friday, filling in for Chris and I, while Chris and I go to a social engagement. And Thursday, of course, there'll be no South Coast tonight because the Pats are playing over the airwaves. When the Pats play, we're the number 1 home here for the Pats on the South Coast. And so you get to listen to the game. I actually got to listen to, because I was on my way to somewhere else towards the end of the game. So, and it was just an incredibly maddeningly boring game throughout the entire, whatever it was, 59 minutes and 40 seconds. So I got in my car. I obviously always have WBSM on. I have the FM signal, 99.5, but you can go 1420 AM or 99.5 FM, whatever. Or you can go to the app, you know, or live stream on WBSM.com. I think I got my plugs in. So I was driving, And I heard it over the radio, that punt return in the last 20 seconds of the game when they punted it to when the Jets like stupidly punted it to the guy in the last 20 seconds of the game. And so I didn't see it, but I heard it. And I'm like, oh my God, it's incredible. So it was kind of a cool experience. You know, it's kind of a cool way to experience like a pivotal moment in the game. So if you're ever like watching the game and you need to go somewhere and it can't wait, rest assured, you can listen to the Pats on 99.5 FM or 1420 AM. We have it. And so I was able to, get off the couch, get in the car, drive, and I didn't miss a minute. And it was kind of cool hearing that over the air and visualizing it, and then get to see it later, as opposed to just seeing it live then. I thought it was really neat. So 508-996-0500 is how you can get in the program. Next week, too, I know you heard Sheriff Hodgson on with Jess earlier. Next week, by the way, we're going to have Paul Heroux on, the sheriff-elect. So we haven't had a chance. He called in the day after the election, but we haven't had a chance to, sit down, have a long-form conversation with him about, what his plans are. And I know a lot of that's going to include, well, I got to see the books first, basically I got to see everything, but he knows the things that he definitely wants to do and definitely doesn't want to do. He's definitely got a list of that. So we're going to have him on, and most importantly, you're going to get to talk to him because he's going to be your sheriff for the next 6 years, and starting in early January. So he's going to be in here. You get to call in and ask him some questions. Obviously, Chris and I will have some questions for him. It's going to be a major change, of 25 years. Again, so, I heard the sheriff today. I reached out to Sheriff-elect Heroux, and I said, do you want to come in? He's like, of course. So he's going to be in a week from today on Monday at 7 p.m., probably till 9, if he's got that much time, but definitely till 8. And you get to call in and talk to him at 508-996-0500. That's how you can get on the program. So that's basically what we got. We've got another Ward 3 candidate on tomorrow. We've got Sean Oliver. He's announced, I think, on Facebook. He's going to be on Barry's show during the day just for a brief introduction, and then he's going to sit down with Chris and I and have more of a long-form conversation. We have a candidate that's just calling in to announce tonight at Ward 3. I'd encourage everybody who wants to run for Ward 3 City Council to call in to South Coast tonight like the candidate is at 8 o'clock. Call in and announce. I guarantee a good deal of your electorate is tuning in to WBSM, right? When I ran the last competitive Ward 3 City Council campaign, WBSM, and this is before I worked here, WBSM played a critical role in our strategy. We bought a lot of ads here. Ton of ads. We bought a ton of ads here. They played all the time. We had a debate here with... we didn't have the debate. WBSM had a debate here in the general election. It was actually during this time slot. And, when someone on WBSM asked to have, the candidate in, which was Hugh, we always agreed. So that's what's in store for you guys this week. And on Wednesday, we're going to have Anthony Puente, who is a New Bedford firefighter. He's going to give us some fire safety tips on Wednesday, just before the holiday, which I think is really important. And people really like that segment. So 508-996-0500 is how you can get on the program. That was just some housekeeping / production notes type of stuff. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a break. And when we get back, something I want to talk. There was a major milestone in my career recently that I celebrated the anniversary of, but it's pertinent to a lot of people here in Massachusetts. So I want to talk a little bit about it. So I'm going to take a break, and then we'll be right back. Marcus, 508-996-0500 is how you can get in the program. So Chris McCarthy will be back tomorrow. He'll be joining us tomorrow. Tonight, again, I'll have a candidate who is announcing their candidacy for the Ward 3 City Council seat. And I encourage anybody who wants to make an announcement to do it here on South Coast Tonight. Give us a call, really any time. I mean, this particular candidate reached out to me and wanted to make the announcement here. Happy to do it. I want anybody that wants to make that announcement to feel free to reach out to me, and we can do it here, and it'll be great. So 508-996-0500 is how you can get in the program. I actually wanted to talk a little bit about this because I know we have lawyers that listen to the show, and and obviously I'm a lawyer, and you know that about me. And people always ask me, not legal questions per se, but questions pertaining to, the becoming a lawyer, like how do you do it, what's the process, and all that other stuff. But I noticed that yesterday was the eighth year anniversary of me officially swearing in to the bar. I had saw that pop up, on your old photos, those apps that you use for memories and all that stuff. So I'd gotten some text from my mother because she had some pictures in her phone that had popped up too from 8 years ago. And I just remember, and I've seen a lot today and throughout the last week that there are friends of mine who have relatives that were just sworn in to the Massachusetts bar. And to them, I say, congratulations, because I know how difficult that can be. Because it's around now where you finally get to enter your profession in a meaningful and effective way. For people who don't know, people generally know the gist of it, but for people who don't know, law school is about 3 years if you do full-time. If you do part-time, it's about 5. It's hard. There's a lot of reading. And after you finish law school, after your third year or 3L, they call it a 3L year. There's 1L, 2L, and 3L. I suppose if you do 4 or 5, it's 4 or 5L. But after your 3L year, you pivot right into bar prep. And bar prep takes about, it's basically your entire summer. You spend, some people say they spent 10 hours a day. I typically spent 6 to maybe 8 hours a day doing bar prep. So basically taking everything you learned in the last 3 years and condensing it into, basically reminding yourself of it and condensing it into easily memorable sort of packages so that you can recall it in the bar exam and take it. Honestly, what I always say to people who are trying to be a lawyer is to take, there's two elements of the bar exam. There is the first day, which is, now I know it's changed a little bit because it's uniform bar exam, but it's more or less the same. There's the first day, which is multiple choice. And that's 3 hours in the morning, 100 questions, 3 hours in the afternoon, 100 questions. There's the next day, which is essay, which is 3 hours in the morning of, I think, 5 essays, 3 hours in the afternoon, which I think are 5 essays as well. So I always say to people who are aspiring or in law school or finishing up, I always say, do the multiple questions, practice those until you pass out. Practice those nonstop, because that's where the battle's won or lost. You know how to write an essay, basically. You've written essays, 100 times at least if you're in law school, because that's all the exams are, is writing essays pretty much. But multiple choice are different because those questions are always super ambiguous. I always say one is right. So you get 4 or 5 options. And I always say it's always one is definitely wrong, right? 2 is probably wrong. There's another one that's definitely right, but then there's another one that could be more right. And that's pretty much where most of the answers are. And then you've got some where, you know the answer because you might have seen it in a practice test, or you know the answer, or you don't know the answer at all and you're just completely guessing. But most of those questions are in the middle. One's right, one's more right, and you got to pick them. So I always say, do the multiple choice until you pass out. But either way, you've got to pivot right into bar prep, which is about, like I said, about 2 months. The end of July is when people take the bar exam. You can either take it in Massachusetts. In Boston, I took it at the convention center. I stayed at the Westin Waterfront Hotel. I don't know if that's still I'm pretty sure where it is at the end of July. And then there's another one that's in Western Mass, which I think is at Wenwick. A lot of people do the Western Mass one because it's a lot more relaxing. I guess there's fewer people, but I did the one in Boston. So after you do the bar exam, which is about it's a 12-hour exam because it's 3 hours in the morning, hour break, 3 hours in the afternoon. So it's about you're doing 12 hours of test taking. You got to wait around basically for 3-4 months. You got to wait around till the end of October to find out whether or not you passed or failed, which is the worst part about the entire process, is that waiting around, because some people have jobs. Some people get jobs that are bar contingent, right? Some people get jobs that are what are called bar contingent jobs, which means, like, if you were, like, one of the more notable bar contingent jobs is working at a DA's office, right? So you could work at a DA's office under what's called, I think, Rule 303, which means you can practice under the direct supervision of someone with a license, but they have to be there at all times, right? There's got to be someone there that has a license that's supervising you the whole time. So you can do that under what's called Rule 303, and you can do that until you get your bar license, your bar passage, in which case you can start having a bit more autonomy. Or it's not bar or you could fail the bar and then you get fired. They have to let you go because it's bar contingent and they don't have time to, wait for you. Some people do, some law firms do, but a lot of the times if you get a job that's bar contingent, they're assuming you're going to pass, and if you don't pass, then you get fired. So waiting around for 2 months, or you just can't get a job, which was more or less what I was doing. I was doing some like odd jobs. For those 3 months, I tried getting jobs. At the time, it was a bad market, right? It was 2014. It was just a bad job market for lawyers for whatever reason. I think it's easier now, but I'm not sure. But it's a bad job market for lawyers. So at the time, I was just kind of doing odd jobs until I got my bar passage, in which case then I started my own practice. But it was difficult. But once you get that notice on October, then you've got to wait another month. And after that, you have to wait even longer just to get your bar card. But I remember the day that I got my letter. So what happened was I knew the letters were starting to go out. I had heard that the Board of Bar Examiners had sent the letters out to everybody, and I was just waiting because, the people that, friends I had in law school that lived up in the Boston area, I had seen them posting on their status like such and such Esquire, I finally did it. So I'm seeing a bunch of people that lived in the suburbs of Boston already got their letters before I did. So I'm just kind of waiting. So I had to wait around for 2 days, basically. I knew like 2 days later I'd get the letter. And then I had heard somebody else didn't get their letter who lived in my area. So I ran out to the guy that was, so I heard about that. I'm like, oh my God, people aren't getting their letters today. I literally can't wait another day. I'm going to lose my mind. So I ran out to the mailman, and I said to the mailman, I said, hey, can I go, if something got sent out to me, can I go get it if it hasn't come in yet? He's like, what? Can I intercept a piece of mail that's intended for me? And can I just bring it home and read it? Like, it's my mail. Can I just go get it? It's got to be somewhere. You know where it is, right? He's like, no, you have to wait for your mail like everybody else. And then he hands me a stack of envelopes, and one of them is the from the Board of Bar Examiners. So I'm like, oh, God. So I'm walking in. I'm like, I'm walking into the best or the worst moment of my life. And I throw the other mail on the ground. I open up the envelope. I see the first words, congratulations, and I just throw the envelope in the air. And I'm like, yes, yes. It was amazing. It was an incredible day. Now you just get an email, which I guess is cool. I kind of like I like the email for the quick delivery and slow and quick and painless. But looking back on it, I think the drama of getting the snail mail, I think, was a little bit better, albeit mildly more traumatizing. But I remember I was like, I got to wait another month just to get my license, just to get sworn in, and then I got to wait even longer just to get my bar card. The bar card. So every lawyer gets a card that has your license number on it. It's called a BBO card with a BBO number. And you have to write that BBO number on literally everything. All your court filings, everything. All plea agreements, if you're a defense attorney or a prosecutor, you've got to write your BBO number on everything. So I'm still waiting another 2 months just to be legitimate in my field. So I remember saying to one of my friends who I'd went to law school with that had graduated, I said, hey, I don't want to do this swear-in. I can go get sworn in anywhere, right? I can go to clerk magistrate or somewhere. I can just go get sworn in anywhere, right? And he said, no, listen, go to the thing. So go to the ceremony at Faneuil Hall. Trust me, you'll love it. It's amazing. Trust me, it's such a nice time. So I did. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll wait around. And so I went to the swearing in. We got a hotel the night before in Boston. My aunts and I got hotels at this Boston hotel right near Faneuil Hall. And we went into the actual Faneuil Hall, the Great Hall. We went into the actual Faneuil Hall, and it was clerk Maura Doyle, the Supreme Judicial Court clerk. She was basically the master of ceremonies. She wore this garb that was like some sort of classical garb, which they've always worn. And she had this amazing speech that she's probably said 1,000 times over now, because she's been the Supreme Judicial Court clerk since I think the mid-'90s. But she basically told the story about Faneuil Hall, about the Boston Massacre and the British troops that were on trial. And, John Adams represented them. And, he did it because, it was his job to represent them. And even though the crowd was raucous, even though it was necessarily not something he particularly believed in, he did believe in the process of giving these people the defense that they were entitled to, the legal defense that they were entitled to. And so he did it. And so she talked a bit, about the history of Faneuil Hall, the painting of Daniel Webster and his what's it called? Second reply to, what's his name? What's the senator's name from South Carolina? It's Daniel Webster's famous speech. It's Daniel Webster was a senator from Massachusetts in the mid 19th century, and he basically had this speech that supported national unity at a time where South Carolina was talking about nullifying, saying that they're going to nullify federal law and all of that stuff. So she had this amazing speech, and then she had a Supreme Judicial Court clerk came in, and because you have to get sworn in an open session in court. So they had a Supreme Judicial Court clerk call in. He gave us some great advice, always get a mentor to help you along and all of that. And so the SJC clerk basically he opened a session in court. A motion was presented to swear us in. That motion was allowed, and then we were sworn in. We were sworn in that day. We were sworn in that day as attorneys, and it was just a really incredible day. I guess the reason I'm telling this story was I was remembering it fondly, and I wanted to I know there's lawyers in the audience, and I just wanted to walk people through kind of what the process is to become a lawyer. Not because I think like, oh my God, it's so hard. You should give everybody that's a lawyer a hug and a present. It's just, I thought it was, I always get asked. I thought it was good to talk about, and so that was it. It's been 8 years. There's a lot of people that have never practiced law, even after getting sworn in, and that's fine. They, maybe get a job in policy. There's people that get jobs in policy and then go practice law. You think of Hugh Dunn. There's people now that went to UMass Law that are in the State House. You look at, Chris Hendricks. Chris Markey as well. He went to the UMass Law's predecessor. So, I practiced law for about 6-7 or so years. And then I ended up, as a solo practice attorney. I moved to the nonprofit sector, and now I'm here every night. And I think without the experience of going into court every day, without standing before a judge, making an argument, getting yelled at sometimes, and, defending my clients, without that experience, I don't think, this show would be what it is. I don't think I'd be the host that I am. And I think we do a pretty good job here. And I'm grateful for the experience. So it was really, it's been quite a journey. It's been quite a journey this last 8 years from, like I said, being a solo practice attorney to moving in the nonprofit sector to starting my work here, all the stuff, all the types of law I've practiced in. I did some MCAD discrimination law. I did mostly criminal law. I did some special education advocacy, right? I did family law, which was definitely the worst. And some of it was great. Some of it was miserable, but it's all been such an incredible journey that I just wanted to share that with you guys. So that's pretty much what I got to say about that. All right, 508-996-0500 is how you can get in the program. Also taking your messages on the WBSM app chat. I'm going to take a break, and then we'll be right back. This is South Coast Tonight. I'm Marcus. Chris McCarthy will be back tomorrow.
Listen to us live anywhere in the world on the WBSM app.
Hey, it's Dana Cortez.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. Opening a My Social Security account gives you secure access to your personal record and interactive tools tailored for you. You can see if you are eligible to receive benefits, view spousal benefit estimates, and compare retirement benefit estimates at different ages or dates when you want to start receiving benefits. Already receiving benefits? Use your account to change your address, set up or change direct deposit, get a proof of income letter, and more. In most states, you can also request a replacement Social Security card. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
The strength of America, our values, our way of life hasn't just been won on the battlefield. It's won every day in our communities when we come together, extending hands of compassion, service, and hope to those who need it most. For over 100 years, the American Legion has been strengthening communities across our nation by providing life-saving help and support to our veterans and neighbors during times like we're facing today. It's what the Legion's all about. From blood drives to distributing food, from responding to emergencies and protecting the most vulnerable among us. Our mission is making America's communities stronger.
We are one family, and therefore we care.
We are the American Legion, veterans strengthening America. To learn how you can help, visit legion.org.
Have your voice heard right now on South Coast Tonight. Call 508-996-0500 or send an app chat message on the WBSM app. Now, back to Chris and Marcus.
Hey, welcome back to the show. I'm Marcus. 508-996-0500 is how you can get on the program. So you may have gotten the WBSM app chat notification that there will be a candidate announcing their candidacy here on South Coast Tonight for the Ward 3 special election to replace outgoing New Bedford City Councilor Hugh Dunn. Now, I think whoever runs in that race has some pretty big shoes to fill. I think Hugh's made his mark as a local legislator. And it's going to be interesting to see, especially as elections have gotten a lot sleepier locally and in New Bedford in particular. I feel like they've gotten a lot sleepier over the last couple of years. I think the last city elections were 10% turnout, right? And before that was like 13. So it'll be interesting to see who comes forward in that special. I've heard some speculation on whether or not if Mitchell goes, then, are they going to run two special elections at the same time? I don't think so. I think they've got to pull the trigger on this one, and that one they might want to take more time on, I'd imagine. I'm not sure, though. Maybe. During an election year, too, they could also vote not to order a special election and just have whoever the council president is at the time carry out that term and be the acting mayor. Or the council, if it's not the council president, then someone the council votes to be the acting mayor. They can just let that person. They did that in Boston last year when, basically Marty Walsh got picked up by the Biden administration, and they were already having a mayoral election, and there were people that were on the city council at the time that were running in the mayoral election, Andrea Campbell and Michelle Wu, right? And Kim Janey, who became the acting mayor because she was the council president. But they had voted basically not to let Mayor Janey finish out her term and to not do a special election. So that could also be a possibility, is that they just let because they have an election coming up so soon, so close, that they just let whoever the council president is, or whoever the council president is, or whoever the city votes to be the acting mayor, the city council votes to be the acting mayor. I think it is a vote by charter. Then that person could just fill out the term. They'd have a leg up, obviously, in the mayoral election, but so did Kim Janey. It didn't work out for her, so we'll see. A lot of interesting stuff happening. A lot of movement. Maybe the elections have been sleepy, but I think all this, there might be more reason to be excited. So, okay, 508-996-0500 is how you can get on the program. I'm going to take another break, and we'll be right back. This is South Coast Tonight. I'm Marcus. Chris will be back tomorrow.
The WBSM app is...
Back to South Coast Tonight. I'm Marcus. So we'll have a Ward 3 resident announce their candidacy in just a moment, really, right after the news. So if you're just tuning in because you got the app chat on the WBSM, not the app chat, the app notification on the WBSM app, just on the other end of this news break will be a candidate announcing their intention to either run or I think maybe at least think about a run for Ward 3 City Council. So, again, if you want to make an announcement that you're running, please call in at any time. We'll take you. All right? So, 508-996-0500. See you on the other side of the news break with that candidate.